Angelina brilliantly pointed out to me that maybe I should record this. So here I am. We're going to do our web fonts demo here. So what I've done is just asked you to download this file from our class website under week 11. Inside of that file are two folders. One is the font from Font Squirrel, which we're going to host ourselves. I'll show you how to do that in a little while. This one, called Web Fonts, is the folder that we're going to put into the site folder. So leave this open. Going to open up my site folder now. And this will just go in the in-class folder per usual. And you will not be turning this in. This is another just demo. So the Faceit will be an actual in-class project, but this is a demo. And so Web Fonts goes in there. And what you'll see is I have indeed made an HTML page for you. Here's the font that we're going to host ourselves. And then here's a CSS file. So what's that all about? What's going on here? Well, I'm actually going to show you how to attach an external document to your file as opposed to having your CSS in the head of the code. So in the advanced class, that's what we do the whole semester. All of our CSS files are pretty much always external. In here, we've done it internally because it's one less moving part while you're learning. But today I'm going to show you how to attach an external file. It's quite easy and it works very much in the same way that you're used to. Okay, so I think that's it for the preamble. So let's go ahead and move over into Dreamweaver. And let's see, and so files. And I'm going to have to refresh that. Refresh it again. Okay, in class, there we are, Web Fonts. And by the way, you guys, just so you know this, when you have Dreamweaver open and you add something to your site folder, it doesn't always show up right away. So down in the very bottom of the files window is a refresh button that you can click to force it to redraw the contents that show the files you just uploaded. Here is Web Fonts. Let me open up that. And here is a butt ugly page if ever I saw one. And so this is just raw HTML. There is no styling going on at all through CSS or HTML, and that's why it looks the way it does. So you'll see here's the body. The primary container for this is called Web Fonts, and it's an ID. And then inside of that are very simply just three H elements. So an H1, an H2, and an H3. Boom, boom, boom. And those are being sized and styled strictly by the browser defaults. All right, so I told you I was going to supply you pretty much all the styling on this, and I will. I am not a liar. I'm many other things, but I'm not a liar. And so the way I'm going to style this is not through putting a style element here in the head of the code. It's going to be by attaching to that CSS file I just showed you. And so to get to that, I am going to go to the CSS Designer window, and I'm going to go to Sources and click on the little plus sign. And so this time, instead of defining in page, I want to attach an existing CSS file. I'm going to do that, choose that, and this will let me then browse to that CSS file. And it is here in the Web Fonts folder, inside the CSS folder, and there is Web Font CSS. Oh, by the way, you notice this folder called Notes? I haven't talked about that yet, and occasionally one of you guys will mention, what are these stupid notes folders? These are made by Dreamweaver, and I hate them. I wish they were all dead, but they aren't. They keep showing up. So you're welcome to throw them out, even though there is a note in here. I'm sure I don't need it. You're welcome to throw it out, but Dreamweaver will just put it right back. So I've learned to just ignore them. Typically, they're empty. Anyway, Web Fonts CSS. Choose that, and boom. Now, right here, add as. You want this to be a link. If you import it, it's just going to put it in the head of your code, which is the same thing we always have. So you want it to be a link so that you are creating a dynamic connection between these two pages. And so I'm going to click OK. And amazing. Instantly, the page is styled. From nothing comes gold. Now, neat, right? Well, where are those damn styles? How do I change them if I want to? Well, you'll notice up here, first of all, don't cuss. But it's right up here. Here's the source code. And then look at this. There's another tab right here called webfonts.css. And if I click on that, voila, there are all my CSS rules. So this is an external CSS sheet, and the benefits of this are great. So say I had these styles applied to 20 different pages in my website. Well, I have one external style sheet, one set of rules that applies to 20 pages, as opposed to having to have those styles in each and every HTML file. So if I have a change to the styles, well, I make it in this one CSS page, and it automatically applies to all 20 pages. So the benefits of CSS are so vast. They just kind of go on and on the more you learn about it. So these are connected. Here is the link that is connecting the two files together. So you'll see it created this element that is a link element, and it has an attribute of href, and it's just got a file path to that CSS file. So it's saying, let me show you the files. So here I am in my web fonts folder right here, and that file path is just saying go to the CSS folder / go inside and find the web font CSS. And so that's it. So now these two are connected, and therefore this is styling this page.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll probably won't deal with this anymore in this class this semester, but those of you who are taking the web class or the advanced web class, this is how we're going to do it always and forever. Okay, so obviously my fonts still look the same, although they are the same size now, and they have become different colors. So let's see why that is. So there's styling for the body, just got 150 at the top. Everything else is 0. The web fonts box, I've done something a little different on this. Let me get in design view for a minute. So you'll notice this is something else that is web class or advanced web class material, and that's that we've defined the width of this box to be 90%. Okay, so that's a relative size. It means relative to the size of the browser window. So you'll notice that as I change the browser window, that box will keep changing size to become 90% of the parent container's width, which in this case is the body. Okay, so that's a really nice way to work. In fact, I don't think that was really, yeah, there we go. There you can see it better. And you'll notice that things will actually start to return, but it always stays at 90%. Okay, so again, you don't need to do that in this class, but for a primary container, you may want to. Margin, 0 and auto. I'm not even going to tell you what that means. I've talked till I'm blue in the face. You know what this means, but I'm not going to tell you. Might be centering the box, but I would never mention that. Text align center. That's what's centering the text within the box. Easy. Okay, so the H's, color of white, defined for all of them, yet that is being overridden for the H2 and the H3. The font size for all of them is 2M, so that's why they're all being drawn at the same size. Okay, so that's it. Code is very simple. There's a couple commented out sets of rules. We're going to come back to those later. The first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and style this H1 here. And so I'm going to go to the CSS Designer window. And this one we're going to do just within Dreamweaver, just kind of a rehash of the Edge web fonts in here, just to remind you how to do it. And I'm going to apply this to all of the H elements. So I'm going to choose that selector. And this is a group selector, where basically it's selecting a group of things separated by commas. And then I'm going to go to the type area and go to the font family. And now I have a bunch of stuff in here already that I've added before. Chances are you may have 1 or 2 things in there from when we did this before, or if you used web fonts on the project, then you would have those in there too. But as a reminder, you may have nothing in here. And so if you want to get to the web fonts, you've got to click on Manage Fonts at the bottom.
Hey, Ron.
Yeah.
I actually had this issue yesterday. My properties window has like almost nothing in it.
Okay. It might be because nothing is selected. That often can be pretty empty if you currently have nothing selected.
I do. I have the H1, H2, H3 selected, and the only two things that are showing up, like text is showing up, and then it only has color and font size available, and then it just.
Oh, here in this properties, yeah. I heard you say. Okay, I was thinking of this properties window at the bottom.
Oh, no.
Okay, well that's because you have show set checked. You need to uncheck that.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was like, oh no, where did it go? Thank you.
Believe me, it's everybody does that, including myself. So yeah, make sure show set is not checked, and then you can get to all this stuff. Now that I'm in the Manage Fonts window, if you remember how this works, make sure that Adobe Edge Web Fonts is active in the top left, and then you can just scroll and pick any fonts you want. Doesn't matter at all what you choose, just choose something that you like. And once you do, all you do is you click on it, and let's see, I'm just going to choose something up here. I don't think I'm going to use it. Just check on it. You see a big blue check mark on it, and you can mark as many as you want and then click Done. Now, as a reminder, nothing will change because all it does is add it to the list. Now, before I go and select the typeface, though, very important, I need to go back into Live View, because if you remember, you can't see it in Design View because Design View is not connected to the internet, and I need to be connected to the internet to go get that web font. And so I'm going to choose Live View and just stay in Live View. And now I can go back to my font family for the H's, and I forget what I chose earlier. I think I'm going to choose Play Fair Display. Nope, that's not it. That's not what I wanted at all. Euphoria script. Okay, yeah, I'll use that. Okay, so there it is. There's a nice script font. Now you'll notice it got a lot smaller. So that happens with scripts a lot, because the font size is measured from the top of the tallest ascender, meaning the thing that extends up the most, and the bottom of the lowest descender, which extends, the descending part of the character goes way down. And so script fonts have a very wide dispersion between the highest and the lowest, and so it's set smaller. So I need to go in and change my size of that. So I'm going to go to Web Fonts, .css, and then here I'm going to change the size from 2. Just going to guess 3.5 will be better. That looks pretty good. So all 3 changed because these rules apply to all 3 H's. And there's my Euphoria script. Now, how is that being imported? So I'm going to go back to the source code here, and you will notice that right here is that JavaScript. And so this JavaScript is telling the browser to go to this website and to download the font, well, Play Fair Display, which I didn't choose that, but also Euphoria script. All right, and so that is importing those fonts, and it is being applied to all of the H1s for now. Okay, so that's easy, quick, because we've done that before. But the next one I want to do is a Google font. And so that is right here. That is going to be an H2. And to get to that Google font, I have a link for you. So I'm going to go back over to the class website. And right here, Google Web Fonts. I'm going to go there. And this will bring up a buttload of different fonts. And so, again, don't need to spend a ton of time here doing this. This is kind of cool. I think that's new. I haven't seen that before. Sign mono. Looks like a Unispace font, though. Not a big fan of Unispace fonts. But as you scroll down, and you can go in here, and you can easily define what kind of a font you want to get. So I'm going to get rid of monospace. I just told you how I felt about those. Serif, sans serif. Let's leave off handwriting. I just did a handwriting. Let's just do display so we get to the funky stuff. I'm in the mood for funky. All right, so here we go. And so, interesting. Oh, an 8-bit font. I'm over 8-bit. Let's see. Oh, that's kind of cool. Unica 1. Oh, Monotone, yeah. That trip back to the 70s, man. Woof. Oh, there we go. Ranchers. I like Ranchers. That's pretty damn funky. So, okay. So I'm going to choose that. You choose whatever you want. When you click on it, it brings you to this showings page. And I say, yep, love it. Beautiful. You can even change what it says right here, and it will give you a new preview. You can even change the preview size so you can see it better. So it's a really nice, clean interface, very simple. So if I say, yep, that's the one I like, I'm going to click Select Style, and then it will just open this window from the side here. But it's just so simple. Look at this. These are instructions. To embed a font, copy the code into the head of your HTML. And you have a choice. You can do this as a link or do it as an at import, which is a CSS. So I want to do a link. And then I just simply copy this link right here. And then I can go back to Dreamweaver. And it says to put it in the head of my code. All right, well, here's the head of my code. I'm going to put it right underneath the Adobe script and just paste that in there. Again, nothing changes because we've imported the text, but we haven't applied it to anything. So to apply it is as simple as defining a font family. And so CSS rules to specify families. So here it is. We just go font family, copy that thing, even gives you a little mini font stack. And then I can come back again to Dreamweaver. And then I need to go to my CSS rules. And I need to find my H2 element. The second one is an H2. And that is where I'm going to define my font family. That's simple. Okay. And by the way, there is a movie on web fonts which shows you all this too. So don't feel that if you think this movie is going to be boring because you're there now and it is boring, you can go to the real video. Very high production value. So that's it. That's Google Font. And I love Google Fonts. It's free. It's all open source. All the people who sponsor here have willingly let their fonts be used as open source. It's really a very generous, nice internet thing. So it's also a way for these people to promote themselves and other fonts they create. But absolutely free, no obligations, and it's a very powerful server. Okay, so those two are pretty simple. So both the Adobe font and the Google font are being hosted elsewhere, which is what these 2 bits of code are all about. Just telling the browser to go and get these fonts. But what if that isn't an option? What if you look all through the Adobe fonts, you look through all the Google fonts, there's a lot of overlap between the two. And none of these are what I want. I need another font, and I'm willing to pay for it. Well, that's an option. There are lots of sites out there, type foundries. There are a bunch of amazing type foundries out there. And most regular people don't go there. Mostly graphic designers, web designers go to these places, and that's who supports them because they understand the value of good fonts, and they will pay for their fonts. And so you don't have to pay for your fonts. And the place I'm going to show you is actually, we're going to use a free font from there, which is promotional. And so Font Squirrel is this site. And really a nice site. And this really isn't a foundry. They're more of a distributor, if you will. A lot of these links here will actually take you to Font Foundry's direct website. And so what a foundry means, traditionally a foundry, like it sounds, is an industrial term, right? It's where you cast metal. Well, that's what type used to be. And so a font foundry or a type foundry meant that's the place where you would cast type into metal letters that would then be put onto a printing press. They would also design the fonts. So obviously it has different meanings now in the digital age. So it's people who sell and or distribute fonts are called foundries. So anyway, here's a bunch of fonts. The one we're going to use here is called Intro Rust. This has been offered as a free download forever. And it's a really nice way for these companies to promote their products because they'll give something away free. And it's a pretty good value. 3 fonts, which are $49 value if you bought them. And here are the different things. And so there's a whole big page of showings and so forth. But I'm going to forego that for now so that we can just take our break in a minute. And so you can click to use these on a desktop machine. You can use these as a web font. They're 2 different font formats. So the 2 separate downloads, those are both free. But if you want to use it in an ebook or in an application, then you are going to be paying for those rights to do so. So it's a small cost in those cases, but this is what we want. So I'm not going to go through the process of logging in and downloading these. I already have them for you. But this is how it works, and it's fairly intuitive in terms of how you get the product. But in terms of importing it into your website, it's just a little bit more complicated. Okay, so here, this is a folder that was also in that same week 11 demo folder. Inside of that is a folder with a strange name called Intro Rust G. And if I open that, you'll see inside of it are several files. A couple of them are actual font files. So I'm going to open up this browser file, and this will show you a sample of this font at a bunch of different sizes. Okay, so this is something we designers are used to seeing. This is a display font, so why they show it down to 10 points or pixels is just beyond me. You should never use this smaller than this 90 at the bottom. It's just too complex. But it's a pretty neat font, but it's meant to be used large. Okay, also in here is a specimen file. Oh, here's a whole bunch of specimens of all their fonts. And then the style sheet here. This will actually open up the style sheet, and it opened in Dreamweaver, since that's my default for CSS. And it tells about the company. It also gives you the @font face rule. And so that is the other way of importing a font, is by using CSS @font face. And so I can just copy this and paste this directly into my code. And in essence, it's doing exactly the same thing that the scripts did earlier. It's saying, go to here and get this font. But you'll notice the file path for this font is very short. It's actually in the same folder. So that's because I am self-hosting. All right, so it is going to be on my server. So I've already got that actually in here. And if I go to the web fonts, you'll see up here at the top is that @font face. And I've actually modified this a bit so that it will work. So let me uncomment this. Let me just explain what's going on. And if you look at my files over here, you'll notice that inside a folder called fonts is that Intro Rust G base 2-line web font.waf. And that is what is here. And so font family is being defined as intro head rbase. The source is URL, and it's going // fonts / and then the name of the font. So let's talk about the file path for a minute, because this is kind of weird. Right now, you think you're on the web fonts. You think you're on the web fonts HTML page right here. So why is it going //? Well, if you haven't figured it out yet, // means go out of your current directory. And then once you're out of that current directory, look for a folder called fonts and go inside of it and get this file. Well, right here, the web fonts HTML, if I go out of the directory, it's actually going into the in-class directory. So why is that? That's really weird. Well, it's not when you consider the fact that this file path is in the web font CSS file. And so what that means is I am here, actually. I'm not here, I'm here. And so it's saying // go out of your current directory, which is the CSS, find the fonts directory, go inside, and get to that file. Okay, so that's why this file path is a little weird. That's really it. It's quite simple. And now all I have to do is to define the font family down here in the H3, which I'm just going to uncomment that. And there my font shows up. And so the difference is that this font's coming from Adobe, this is coming from Google, this is coming from you. That's on what's on your local server now. All right, so those are different kinds of web fonts. They're all pretty easy to use. My advice to you is this. I introduce this now because obviously you're dealing with quotes. And if your quotes are going to be treated as actual type, you definitely should consider using web fonts as opposed to system fonts. You'll have much better selection. What I've discovered about this is this information you already have, you already know from other resources. But I do think there's something about putting in the context of this silly face that somehow makes it less threatening. I don't know, but it somehow works. So let's see if it works for you guys too. Now we're just going to hand code everything today. So the first thing I want to do, piece of paper in front of me so I can see it more easily. I'm going to go up here in the code. Oh, I haven't saved this yet, so let me do that. Save my file. And this is going to go into the in-class beach ball of death. Hurry up. There we go. And I'm just going to put this loose in here. Devil may care. And I'm just going to call this faceit.html. You can call it whatever you want. Come up with a cute little character name. All right, so we're ready to go. I want to put some CSS styles in here, but first let's go ahead and get some boxes made. Our structure is going to be very simple. Okay, so I'm going to make a div, and this div is going to have an ID of wrapper. And I'm doing it a different way again today. So this is often the way I prefer to do it, is by creating my HTML structure first, if I know what it needs to be, and then I'll write my HTML rules afterward, and it will start styling as I write them. Inside of the wrapper is going to be a div called eyes, and eyes is going to be a class. Okay, then underneath or inside of eyes is going to be another class called eyeballs. Wrapper. Let's move this down a bit. So here we have eyes, and then underneath eyes is going to be another div called eyes with a class inside called eyeballs. Okay, so I think you get where that's going. There are two eyes. So I'm going to copy that and paste that there. So inside of the wrapper, I now have two divs called eyes with a class of eyes, and inside of each one of those eyes divs, there's another div called eyeballs. So the whites and the pupils, if you will. All right, so next, underneath that, we got to get the nose in, I'm pretty sure. So let's see, div and nose. I think I do as an ID. Yep, only need one nose. Okay, and then underneath the nose, I think we're all pretty clear on this, comes the mouth. Also an ID. And then inside the mouth, we're going to have some teeth. This is a class for some reason. I don't know why, but I'll follow my instructions. T. Turned into a goat there for a minute. Sorry about that. All right. And that is it. Those are all the parts of the face we need. And so I think what's cool about this is not only does this help you understand positioning, but it's a little bit of a refresher on just understanding the construction of your boxes. So I'm also going to indent this properly. So here's a neat thing. You can customize this toolbar over here. On the bottom, there are these three little dots that allow you to open up this. And one thing I find very handy is to turn on, where is it? Down here towards the bottom, indent and outdent the code. So you'll see I have those, well, maybe you can't, but I have those icons right here. And the reason why it's handy is because I can then mark these lines by dragging across the gray numbers. And then I can hit indent, and it will just move the whole thing in. And this indenting thing is really helpful because it really helps you understand what's inside of what. And so it's a small thing, but you may discover that it's the type of thing that may just help you visualize and understand the structure just a little bit better. It's still common at the place you're at that a lot of mistakes are made because of HTML mistakes, or maybe something is inside of a box that you thought it was inside of. And so this is a way just to help you see that more easily. And of course, the classic Dreamweaver trick where it highlights both the opening and closing tags so you can see exactly where the beginning and the end of your boxes are. And so all of those things should help you a little bit. But again, just go slow. All right, so there's our basic HTML. That is all we need to make that face. Now, in order to style the HTML, now we need to create some CSS. And so up here, instead of using the designer window, we're going to handwrite it today just to reinforce how simple this is we just need to create a style element. So how do we do that? Well, it's the same way we create every other type of element. We type angle bracket and then the name of the element, which is style. And then we need to give this an attribute of type. And that's to tell it what type of style we're going to be styling with. So type is what I want. And then you'll see there's just two choices in this menu. And one of them is text CSS. That's what I want. And then I can hit the closing angle bracket. And then I can just return that closing style tag down there to a few lines, and we're ready to start writing our rules. So again, it's style element with an attribute of type equals text/CSS. And just use the code hints to get there. If you missed that, then just go do it from the CSS designer window. That's fine. Okay, so next up, how are we going to style this? Well, pretty simply, I just want to zero all the margin out. So in the body, I'm going to define that as margin 0. So that's it. Won't give me extra margin on the body. Good news. Wrapper. And so what the wrapper is going to be is the face, the square. All right. And so the width of that is going to be 275 pixels. And then the height is going to be exactly the same. Perfect. And then the background color is going to be orange. Okay, so there we go, showing up in the window. We're in live view, which I think is fine for now. And so that's exactly what we're expecting. So it's obviously, this is the first thing we need to position. That isn't the position we want this in. We really just want it centered in the page, and we want it pushed down a certain amount. And so that's why I'm now going to go in and give this some margin. And I'm going to do a shorthand on this. So margin, and then on the top, I want this to have 100 pixels. On the right side, I want it to be auto. On the bottom, I want it to be 0. And on the left, I want it to be auto. There we go. So push down. So that is our first bit of positioning. And that positioning is really using nothing but normal document flow and margins. And so that's completely just straight as you can get. So next thing is let's get the eyes going here. In fact, maybe I'll switch to see what you guys think is the most helpful. I'm going to go to design view. Okay. And so you'll see there's a line up here, and this is kind of representing all of these other boxes. The eyes, the eyeballs, the nose, and the mouth are all represented by this little rectangle here. They're all on top of each other, and they're all the same because they haven't been defined. And so they really are completely collapsed, but design view gives you a visual on them. So the next thing is the eyes, and eyes are a class, so dot eyes. And the width and the height of the eyes are going to be 100 pixels. Beautiful. There we go. So you'll see those boxes are showing up. Now, obviously, the background color on this, well, I guess I have my whites or yellow. Okay. So the background color is yellow. You prefer white, you can. Yep. And then for positioning these, how are we going to get these positioned? So I'd like you guys to help me a little bit on this. This is simple positioning. You've done it a lot. How are we going to get these eyeballs to be side by side instead of, you know, on top of each other? What type of positioning do we need to give them? You know it. It's not a trick. Look, I'm poised to start typing.
Is it absolute?
Nope.
Dang.
But it's a good try, Mary. I compliment you. It is something that you've known for many weeks now. And it's the thing you do when you don't want a block level element to behave as like a block level element. You don't want things to be on top of each other. You want them to be next to each other. So what do you define?
Is
The
it
term,
relative?
is it what?
Relative?
Nope. Nope. It's not one of the new positions we've learned. It's an old one we've been doing for a while. The very first float. There we go. That's it. It's very simple. And so what we want to do is we just want to float these to the left. And now they can be side by side. Cool. And often when you're learning, that's the key, is what you want to focus on is what is the simplest way to achieve what you're trying to achieve. So yeah, we could do, absolute positioning. That means we'd have to put a relative on the wrapper and do, absolute points in space for those two. That wouldn't be bad, wouldn't be wrong, but it's a whole lot simpler just to say float left, and then you get the behavior you want. And then we can go in and just put in some margins. A couple of simple margins will get them where we want. And so what we want is a margin on the top and the left. So the margin on the top, and I did all the math on this, is 25 pixels. And then the margin on the left is also 25 pixels. Okay, there we go. And so these little boxes in here are the eyeball boxes, which we will get to next. Okay, so next up are the eyeballs. Okay, so the width and the height of the eyeballs are 50 pixels. You can see I kept the math easy. Okay. There we go. So now he's looking up and to the left. The background color on this better be black. Yes. Okay, excellent. And then in terms of positioning these, you can just, it really depends what you want to do. So I'm just going to do a margin left of 25 pixels again. And that will move him over to the center, but he's looking up, or she, whatever the case may be. These squares all look the same to me. So, if you wanted to make it so he's looking down, then you could have a margin top of 50 pixels. There we go. Now he's looking down. So you can see simple math. All right. So we got our eyes and our eyeballs. Now comes the nose. That's what you've all been waiting for. Admit it. How did Ron make the nose round? That's for me to know. All right. So the width and height of the nose is 75 pixels. If it wasn't divisible by 25, I didn't use it. Boom. So there it is, upper left corner. And now, how are we going to position this bad boy? Well, first, let's give it its background color. Oh, I actually have a hexadecimal color for this, but the hell with that. We're going to make it red. Yeah. Too damn highfalutin. Okay, so there we go. There is our red nose. How are we going to get this into position? So, there's different things we could do, but what would you guys think? This one I would probably recommend using one of the new positions. So we want it to be right here in the middle, but we want it to overlap the eyeballs. And that's a key point. How do we get it to overlap the eyeballs? So think of what the new position choices are that you have. We just learned, the ones we learned last week. So we have relative positioning, we have absolute positioning, and we have fixed positioning. So the fixed positioning, that's out the window because that means we're positioning it relative to the body, to the edges of the browser window. So fixed is gone. So it's between relative and absolute. Anyone? Anyone? If I told you it starts with an A, would that help? Okay. Starts with an A. And so we're going to establish a position of absolute. So that means we can position this relative to its parent container, which is the square. And so remember, though, that for absolute positioning to work, the parent container has to have a positioning itself. And so the answer, this was a trick answer, is both relative and absolute, because the wrapper must have a position of relative. And so remember, what makes relative unique is that if you don't give it any positioning, it behaves like it's a normal document flow. Okay? So I'm not going to do anything else but say you have a position of relative, but I'm not going to give any top, left, right, bottom, parameters. So it's just going to say exactly where it is. But it does define the square as what the nose will now relate to. So that's where I'm going to get my measurements from. And so that means if I make the top relationship, move this up so you can see it better. And let's see, the math is easy, but it's still beyond my brain right now, is 100 pixels. Boom. Sweet. Or is that sweet? Did I misspell position again? No, I didn't. And then the left is 100 pixels also. And there we go. So it got us exactly what we wanted. Centered over the eyeballs. Now, how did I make this round? Well,
Ron?
Yes?
I have a problem. I don't know why the nose would not pop up for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, can I share my screen with you?
Sure, yes.
Yeah, I think I did everything you told me to do. But...
See, I think I need to stop sharing because I think you're behind mine. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Okay, so let's see. Nose, 75. Yep. All good. And did you do the relative positioning on the wrapper?
Wrapper.
Yep,
Yeah.
you did. Okay. Let's go down and look at your construction then. So you don't have a nose in there. It's often the simplest thing. So isn't that nice to know? So now if right below your second eye, if you make your div for your nose, it will just show up. So go down one more line. Right there. That's where you want to put your nose. That's an odd thing to say.
Okay, so wait.
So yeah, it is div, and what did I make it? It's an ID. So div ID nose. There you go. Beautiful. And there's your nose. There she blows.
Thank you.
Oh my God. How do I come up with these? I should be a father.
Sorry, Ron, can I show mine also? Because mine's, like, my face is all over the place. Like, I think the nose is up here or on the side, and then the eyeballs aren't showing up.
Yeah, share away. This is good stuff.
Okay.
Okay, well, it looks like your eyes are in the right place. Your eyeballs are good, and there's your nose. Okay, so let me look at we'll start with your CSS. No, it's okay. We'll start with the HTML. So there's your wrapper. Can you click on each of the opening tags so I can see where the closing tags are? Perfect. Perfect. That's good. Yep, perfect. Perfect. Yep. And then nose and mouth. Yep. And teeth. Yeah. Okay. So your construction is perfect. Let's look up here. So wrapper, the width and height are 275. The background color, yep, all that's good. Eyes, 100. Foot left, yep, and that's why those are in perfect shape. I can see something is collapsed here, so that I would
Background
assume.
is spelled wrong, and the dot eyeballs,
Yep.
brown color is spelled wrong.
Oh, there you go.
Wow,
Yep.
it's from a K. Oh,
Yep.
okay,
Okay,
now I just
there.
need to fix the nose.
Now you just need to fix the nose. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. This is why all these eyes are very helpful. So yeah, scroll down. Let's see your. Well, first of all, you need a position on the wrapper of relative, and so that is going to be part of the problem. So just position
So,
relative. Okay. So as Mary Poppins said, halfway done.
that's it.
Woof. Oh my God. See?
It's always
You
something
actually-
simple.
You actually had it right. And see, guys, this is nothing to be embarrassed about. This is just the process of learning. And with this stuff, it's pretty simple stuff. And so the mistakes you make are going to be pretty simple. And so that's why once you get used to looking at this stuff, you can figure out most of it on your own. It's just my eyeballs find them because I've, been doing this for a while and looked at a lot of student work and know the mistakes that are typically made. So very good. Okay, anyone else need to share? All right.
Yeah.
Oh, Carlos, okay.
Yeah.
Looks like a deranged snowman. Okay, so let's look here. So, all right. So with height. Oh, you forgot the G in background color for your wrapper, so that's why it's white. So, yep. In fact, in all of them, yeah, yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Oh,
right
wow.
there too. Yep. Okay, look at that. It's perfect. But for a couple of G's. What would Shakespeare say about that? Oh, my kingdom for 2 G's. Actually, I'm waiting for 5G. I don't know about you guys. Just saying.
And then,
All right.
the eyes.
Yeah, so you're good, and unless you want them, in a different location. That's just a matter of changing the margin. Oh, well, no, that's weird. Margin top 25. Why are your eyes there? Oh, that's your eyes, your eyeballs. Margin left 25. Well, why are your eyeballs there? Okay, so let's see. Margin left, margin top. No typos there. Height, no missing nomenclature. Huh. Okay, I'm not seeing that. You guys seeing anything?
I thought I saw the wrapper. He says background. He switched it to background again. It was supposed to be background color orange.
Oh, right. Yes. Thank you. Good eye. Yeah, and same down here. You can actually do just background. That's a generic way of saying it. And there's shorthand you can use and everything else. But if it's just the background color, then that's more accurate. Okay, so, all right, let's look at your HTML. Let's see what's going on with your eyeballs. So there, would you click on the opening tag for your eyes, please? Okay, good. And your eyeballs are inside, no problemo. Okay, nose, mouth, yeah, that's all. Oh, no, that's all right. Yeah, that's good. You got it. All right, so what is going on with the eyeballs? That is very odd. So what this is going to be is something silly and dumb and small. But right now it's not seeing the margin left. It's seeing the margin top. So that would tell me that, oh, you know what? You're missing a space. Oh, there it is. See it right there, you guys? Look right there after margin left. What do you see? You see a semicolon, and it needs to be a colon. Do you see that, Carlos? Margin left, semicolon, and that should be colon. And voila. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, O for 2 G's and a colon. It sounds like a medical procedure now. Yeah, that's it. So you're set. So basically, you know what you need to do when you discover these things to go, okay, well, I got 99% of it right. I only made a mistake on 1%. Then you'll feel better. All right. Anyone else in a flummoxed state?
Yeah, can I share my screen with you, Professor?
I'll bet you can. Let's see it.
1 second. Okay, can you see it?
Okay. Let's see. Man, Brianna, you're in a sorry state. You've
Yeah.
actually, somebody actually blew your head up. All right. So let's see. I think the problem probably lies in your HTML would be my guess. So scroll down to the bottom, please. And let's take a look. So, oh yeah. Look on the very top line where it says div ID wrapper. Click on that. You see where your closing tag is? It's right next to your opening tag. And so that means that this is not containing any of this stuff. So that closing div tag for wrapper needs to go underneath at the very bottom, right above the body closing tag. So you can either cut it or you can just drag it down.
To go right here.
Yeah, it'll go right there and then delete that one. Yeah. Okay, so that's good. Now there's still more going on. Click refresh. That will help. Let me see. Well, I thought there was. Okay, yeah, there is something here. You haven't got to it yet, but this was going to be a problem soon. You see your mouth ID. You have your closing tag right next to your opening tag. That needs to go after the teeth box. So delete that closing div tag there and put it after. Yep.
Oh, wrong thing. What the heck?
It's not going to your pasteboard for some reason. So drag over it and then click and hold and drag on the marked word div, and you can just pull it down. There you go.
Oh, okay.
Excellent. And click refresh. And okay, something happened there. What? I think something div mouth. Huh. It's saying something is wrong. Div ID mouth. Click on the open tag for ID mouth, please. Okay, I don't see what the problem here is, Dreamweaver. So there's your div class for teeth. Yeah, hover over one of the red numbers, please. I'm just curious to see what it's saying. Tag must be paired, no start tag for the div. Well, that's just silly because that's the closing wrapper tag div, I believe. But sadly, Dreamweaver is almost always right. Okay, so there's eyes. So let's just do this methodically. Click on the opening tag starting at the top on each box. So like with wrapper, click on that. Perfect. Click on eyes. Perfect. Eyeballs is good. Yep. Go down to the next eyes. Good. Eyeballs, good. Nose. Mouth. Teeth. What is the problem? Tell you what, go ahead and save your file. I'm just curious. Nope. Oh, let's see. Okay, well, it's showing this code in here. So that shows there's some piece of, there's a bracket or something that is missing. It could be a quote mark, could be anything that is causing this issue. Closing div tags are all right. So chime in, guys, if you see anything. But it's showing the div ID. Where is it getting that from? Is that for the nose? Is that what it is? Div ID equals nose. Nothing wrong with that. And mouth, and teeth. Okay, ID, class, ID. Well, you've done it, Brianna. You've stumped me. I cannot see what the problem is. There's something there. There must be, because Dreamweaver, as much as I complain about it, usually doesn't make up stuff. But I cannot see. Your code looks absolutely fine to me. That's eyes. Yep. Okay, so I think we're just going to have to let it go for now, Brianna, but I promise I will not desert you. We will come back to this later, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sorry. You're welcome. Well, I didn't do anything. But, okay, so let's get back and finish this bad boy up, and then we can go to the next stage, which will be to play a little bit. All right, so next thing we want to do is get that nose to be round. Hello, how could I forget? So there's a new property that we haven't used yet called border radius, and it allows you to give boxes a rounded corner. Oh my Lord. So I'm going to type border, hold it, something's wrong. I wasn't in the right program. Border hyphen radius. And, I could do like a 20% radius, and it will look like, let me get the live view back on so we can see what it will look like. There we go. So you see how the corners of the nose became rounded? That's with a 20% radius. Well, guess what happens if you give a 50% radius? Well, that just means it's going to round it from the middle of each side, right? And so if I round it from the middle of each side, all of a sudden there aren't any sides. It's a circle. How easy can it get? So pretty darn fun. Okay, so let's get the mouth in here. The mouth is an ID. And the mouth is going to have a width of 225 pixels. And a height, oh, there it is, a height of 50 pixels. And then this is going to have a background color of black. And there it is. Right now it looks like some cubist eyebrows. Frida Kahlo's cubist. So how am I going to get that into position? What did I do? So there's different ways I could do this, but I thought I'd show you in some ways a simpler way. And that is the reason why this is flying up to the top is because there's no other elements in there as far as it's concerned. They're all out of normal document flow. So it just goes right up to the top. So if I very simply just give the mouth a float, guess what happens? It starts seeing the other elements. Now it's still not seeing the nose, but it is seeing the eyeballs. So now it's closer to being in position. So at this point, I can just use margin to push it into the position I want it to be. So I'm going to give this a margin left of 25 pixels. And then a margin top of 75 pixels. And there we are. And so now all we got left are the teeth. So teeth, I think I did those as a class. Yes, I did. Dot teeth. And this has a width of 175. Has a height of 25. And has a background color of white, pearly white, just like Mac the knife. And then it has a margin left of 25 pixels, or 25 pickles, whatever you prefer. And that will center it within the mouth. And you may or may not want it centered in the mouth. Okay, so this is kind of where the demo stops. And the in-class assignment is this. It's not to turn in Mr. Squarehead here. It's for you to turn in another version of this face using nothing but CSS and HTML. So what does this mean? Well, it means you can go in and screw with the code however you want. If you want to somehow turn this into a giraffe by making the boxes really tall and adding other boxes for legs, you can do that. If you want to, I think I had a couple cats last time, a couple dogs last time. You can just make them be funny looking people. So as a reminder, this is what I did. I just made it into kind of a 1930s caricature type of drawing. You'll see I even added little shapes inside and made that circle. It even has a glow on it. These have outlines on them. So different outlines for different size, you know, create this cool little two-color look to it. Just all kinds of things. You know, I added hair to them by simply adding a top border and a radius on the top left corner of that box. But you can push it a whole lot further than this. Just do whatever you want. It's a matter of just playing and having a good time. So if this is what I would do if I were you, first of all, don't do it tonight if you're as tired as you look. Take a break, come back to this. You know, I'd say I'm going to spend an hour on this, and I'm just going to play and make this, you know, and have a, you know, just create whatever you want. You can have a vision, or you can just screw around and have it end up wherever it ends up. It doesn't matter to me. What I care about is that by virtue of, you know, making this your own, it will help you understand positioning better. It will help you understand the structure of the HTML much better, and it will show you some of the power of CSS that, again, maybe you're not aware it has. So when we did Project 3, where you worked into my CSS template, then you went in and just modified what I did, and you found little things like, you know, how to create box shadows and shadows on your type, and how to add outlines and all types of various things. So that's what you want to do. You want to go in here and just click on something and then go into the CS and say, how can I modify that? Let's see, I forget where radius is in here. Oh, here it is. So here's border radius. So this is a way to very quickly and easily just play with different border radiuses. They're doing it in pixels here, which is fine. But say if I make that be 50 pixels, yeah. So there you go. And so there, that corner has been radius. So you don't have to radius every single corner the same. You can do the same with the teeth in here. And for that, you could do maybe bottom two. Let's do that 20, 20. You can give that a stroke. So here's the border element right here. So I'm just going to give it a stroke on the bottom. And let's see, I'm going to say the width. Let's do it in pixels, and let's make that, oh, I don't know, let's say 5. And then let's make the style of this, I don't know, dashed, I guess. Let's see what happens. And then the color, let's just make this be gray for now. And there we go. So there he's got a nice little smile with little tiny gray teeth. Probably another color would be better. So play, have fun, do whatever you want to do, add additional shapes if you want it to have a neck or body or legs, whatever you want. Just have a good time. And so this will be due by the start of next class. So just anytime over the next week, play with this. And get this, you're going to turn this into Canvas. You're not going to make this live on your site unless you really love it and want to. You're just going to turn in the HTML file only, because that's all this is just an HTML file. So you don't need to turn in your whole site folder. You just need to turn in, let me go here, this right here. You see that HTML page? Just turn that HTML page in directly to Canvas. That's the file type I've asked for. So that will kind of keep you from trying to upload a whole zip file with your site, just the HTML only. And I've specified that in the instructions. Okay, I'm going to shut up. Wasn't that short of a class after all. But I hope this helped. I have a feeling it maybe did, at least for some of you.